This is the only time you'll be able to be a part of the Here First interviews because they are a part of my membership. So you got it for free today, but next month you will not. So if you do want to join, just let us know, and we'll have the info for you as well at the end. So let's go ahead and get this thing started. So Tiffany, do you have any way you want to invite yourself into the conversation before I get started with all the questions?
I'm just excited. The program definitely was a vital point in a vital season of pivot in my life. So I'm excited to answer whatever questions you have and just support it for anybody, because no matter what stage you're at, it really is beneficial.
Amen to that. All right, so my first question for you, and none of these are crazy questions, so I don't want you to... So my first question for you is, what made you say, I'm ready for coaching?
I knew that I needed something else. I had taken steps of faith before in starting my own business, which I really was doing well with and was successful in, but it wasn't exactly what I felt God was calling me to. And so what I felt he was calling me to is what prompted me to actually reach out for coaching, because I felt like I needed more direction and guidance in how to exactly get that going and how to pinpoint what it was that maybe he was calling me to. And in reaching out to you, because you had written the books, that was something that I felt he was calling me to do. And so therefore reaching out to you just became that point of recognizing, okay, some coaching would help. Like you say, you can go through the YouTube videos and you can do all of the stuff online, but having someone right there that has a developed system for you to work through really does make a difference. So that was one of the reasons I reached out for coaching.
Okay, awesome. So what was the thing that shocked you the most about the coaching?
You already know it's self-evaluation. Like I reached out because I thought, yes, I'm going to get guidance and someone to kind of help me through this process of what it looks like to write a book. And I thought it was going to be more focused there. And then, it would be like starting out with some of the work. It was like, oh, okay, like I can see how this has some contributing parts to it. But then when that came up, it was like, wait, what is this? And it was always the one thing every week that I did not want to do. Like you said, to the point where I would want to do everything else, and for me to get to that and not want to do it really did show me how needed it was. And so that was the one thing that shocked me, but it actually was the one thing that helped me to develop, and honestly, to get the greatest value out of the course.
And if you didn't hear what she said the self-examination, the self-evaluation part, and that was something that she had to do weekly. So she had to gain her own self-awareness of her own motives and her own thought processes, and if they were really on the right track like she thought they were. So what was the changing factor for you? Like when was like the aha moment of the coaching program?
Probably, I would honestly say towards the end, once everything really started to come together. Like I said, the evaluation, doing that each week, once I started to really see how vital that was to anything that we're doing in our lives. And for myself, like I said, I already have owned a business. I'm a wife, I'm a mother, I'm a daughter, I'm part of a community. And so in all of those areas, I saw how that one piece really benefited me. But it was just an understanding of like, I would look back and see, okay, over here, like week or month 1 or 2, like I was responding to my self-evaluation like this, or I was getting stuck in these places, which actually really threw me off for everything else, any of the other that I really needed to be doing. Where then, as I started to get into the evaluation more and got more comfortable with confronting those places of discomfort, other things started to just ease through. And what the aha moment came for me was, whoa, if this is happening for me, then this is what other women and mothers and wives are needing. And so it became apparent to me that I could take my past and then the ways that it could be used towards the purpose that God was calling me to was where my mission statement came into place. And that is when the light bulb just went off, and it was like, oh, this is it. It even connected into my profession before of being an esthetician, because it helped me to realize, yeah, I love skincare, but what I actually loved the most was the conversations that I would have with other individuals in those sessions when they were already at somewhat of a vulnerable state. And those candid conversations that I would have one-on-one with people, that's what I enjoyed. And so it was like, oh, well, if I'm enjoying that, this is how it's going to be used over here. And so that was my aha, is probably towards the end. It took a little while, but it was mostly because I was given the self-evaluation some pushback. But once I allowed that to really be what it needed to be and confronted it, everything else just started flowing so much easier.
And so what was the pushback? Like, what exactly did you not want to face?
What is there about myself that I just didn't want to face? I did not want to face the ways that I could really be manipulative. I didn't want to face the selfish motives that I really had. I didn't want to face the insecurities I had. I didn't want to face my doubts. I didn't want to face, there were some things I didn't even want to face. I think the greatness that was within me, or that's within me. It was scary to think that I didn't value myself. And so when I would do the evaluations and see that, it was like, wow, if I can't even find worth in myself, how am I expecting others to see it? And so it started to become this thing of, well, if I can't put that off on anyone else, this is now me. So if I'm not finding, that I'm worthy of this, then, and that created a lot of discomfort for me. But what that showed me was so much of it came from my past, and it was just so much shame that I carried. And with that, learning to actually be okay with confronting that and knowing that that wasn't the end of the road. My questions didn't make me a bad person. It didn't make my belief any less or any more. It was just, it had to be confronted. And so those places of confronting my weaknesses and just confronting things that I basically needed to forgive myself for. And I was having a hard time doing that. So there were quite a few, things that caused the pushback. But the more that I had to do it, because when I got in, I was all in. And I'm like that with a lot of things. And once I'm in, I'm in. And I have a place where it's no longer people pleasing, but I don't want to disappoint people. And so I wanted to respect your time and respect what you had put in front of me and what you were kind of guiding me through. And so in that, I was like, I'm going to do this because I'm not going to disappoint her. And so it did. It pushed me out of those places of my own pushback.
Mm. And I wasn't actually going to ask you this, but just for the sake of some perspective of some of the, you said some of the shame and the guilt, probably brought on by what you dealt with when you were younger.
Yeah.
Can you just give us a couple of minutes of, what a part of your testimony, the things that you dealt with?
Yeah. So my personal testimony is I was sexually abused for the majority of my adolescence. And so during already a difficult time of life for I think anyone, whether you're in good situations or bad, I also had that on top of it. And so that really created a lot of shame and guilt that I carried that was not mine to carry, and which caused a lot of wounds and a lot of pain that for most of my adulthood now, I actually have pushed back against really wanting to know more about, really wanting to dig deeper into to get an understanding of why I acted the way I did and why my behaviors were what they were. And so the part about forgiving myself, learning to forgive myself, a big part of that was, why didn't I do it sooner? Why didn't I go into counseling or therapy sooner for things that I knew about, but I was just avoiding? And so I got to a point where I saw how my past and all that I was trying to carry on my own really was destroying my future, the future that God wanted to give to me. And so, or what he had planned for me. And so in that, before I reached out to you, I had actually began taking the steps of really digging deeper and finally gotten to a point where I say I was uniquely dealt with by God, but it became very clear that I could no longer continue on this way, or I was going to hurt the people that were closest to me, which, is my husband and my children. And so that in itself created, the enemy tried to use that to create more shame because even once I started digging deeper and reaching out for help, it became this, well, you should have done this sooner. Like, you've already done so much damage. So then once I started coaching with you and doing those self-evaluations, that's kind of that line point I was at, where I was coming out of the shame from my childhood, but now I was dealing with this new shame of, I waited so long and it's too late and all of these things. And it was just a lot of spewing of lies from the enemy. But being a part of your coaching helped me to identify that and to push back at him. And so those were the areas that it was, and at times can still be difficult to deal with, but it's a totally different type of discomfort, I guess you could say. Yeah.
Yeah. So we talked about like your aha moment. And what revelation did you get from God throughout the coaching? Like, what revelation, what came about beyond the aha moment from God?
It really became aware of how he identified me, how much he was really showing me his love for me and his care for me, and the provisions that he was making all around me to really show me that I didn't need to carry what I was carrying anymore. And not only that, but he was going to use it. Like I would give the pushback, but God would continuously show me that, I want to be an obedient daughter. And in that he would show me it wasn't anything really difficult. It was actually quite simple what he was calling me to do. It wasn't easy, but he was going to use it to help another. And so that is where it all became worth it, I guess you could say, because it was no longer about me. It's all about letting someone else know the comfort that he provides. And so those were the little pieces he kept showing me, of what my discomfort was, basically to make others recognize the comfort that he gives.
Mm. So I'm wondering, who was God to you before this transition, and who was God to you now? Like, how did you view God before this self-examination and this mission work and identifying yourself in God? And how has that progressed to who you are now?
God before he was my provider, my sustainer, and he was my savior. But I would say before, he wasn't fully Lord over my life. So I identified with him as saving me. And I identified him through years before really taking those steps of faith to recognize he was my provider. But what became very apparent to me in the coaching program was he was Lord over my life. Like, now it is truly a nonstop conversation with him. Like, it is everything is, he's consulted on every level before making a move. Everything is about what he wants me to do. It has overridden my self-serving schedule. So, yeah. I mean, he's become everything, even in those moments where I used to hide away, thinking, there were times I didn't want to expose who I was to the God who knows already who I am. Yeah. Like I say, he's not surprised by us. And it's just, now I come to him happy as can be. I come to him blubbering mess. I come to him with a moment of like feeling great and then feeling, off. And then but I know I'm accepted by him. I know I'm loved by him. I know I'm his, where before I had my doubts, and I might have had moments where I wasn't accepting his love. He was offering it, but I wasn't accepting it. Where now I'm like taking it all in. So
yeah. And were you what's the words? Were you surprised that I made you read the Bible?
Honestly, yes. And I only say that because I think my idea of coaching was always thinking just from the professional side, as far as like worldly. And so when I reached out to you for coaching, I was already doing those things because that's what I knew I had to do. Like I said, God was like, you cannot go any further the way that you've been going. And so I really was starting to develop those habits anyways. But then you putting that into your coaching, it was like, oh, wait a second. So you see where it's vital through, it's a lifestyle. It's just not a one-time thing. It's just not here or there. It's a lifestyle. And that is actually what built my confidence is in knowing God. So the more I read and in knowing him, when you would even put that into your, the work, it was, okay, I'm doing this because I don't want to disappoint. But then I was growing and learning about who God was. And then that grew the confidence in him for me to then have the confidence I have.
Amen. Amen. So how has your daily routine changed since starting and going through the program?
The greatest change has been the time management, in terms of recognizing, am I using my time wisely as far as stewardship? And I think that's the greatest thing. My days have actually become much easier, as far as the way they flow, because you did equip me with just keys to work throughout my day that would just continue on. And like I said, it became a lifestyle. So those things that I initially started out doing because, you know, Coach K was telling me to, now that's just my lifestyle. It's a habit. And so it's something that I see of great value. And because I have that value and I've seen the way that it has enhanced my life, I can't see going back. I mean, no way to do that.
Can't go back.
Nope.
So how, I know that you were coming for the coaching for, you know, your own ministry and, you know, you writing your books and how you could possibly help other women out that have dealt with what you've dealt with. But how has it changed other areas in your life? I know you you said that initially when we first started talking, I was asking you if you want to say something, but how exactly has it transferred into all of your life?
Everything for me now starts with me. So if I want to see my home thrive, my relationships thrive, my children thrive, my husband thrive, my friends, my family thrive, it starts with me. And so that has been, like I said, the part of me where I want to give the pushback, where I might not want to do the self-evaluation. I know the importance of it, because it's like, if I don't do this, then I can't be who I need to be for them. And that to me is just not an option anymore. Where before I really would kind of let it go, or I wouldn't take the responsibility I needed to. And I know that each life is, especially if God has provided those relationships to me, I have to have stewardship over them. And so, you know, I know they don't belong to me, and he's giving them to me, and I have to give them back. But what am I going to do with the time that I have with them? And so whether it's, you know, starting with me, and then I do what I need to do to then encourage another person to then dig a little deeper, or to really reflect and to see things a different way, just to encourage everyone to know, like, that they're loved and that they're an individual, and that what God may be telling me to do isn't exactly what he's telling you to do. But that's the beauty of that. And what I've had to learn is it's not a comparison with God. He can use all of us, and he wants to use all of us. And so that is where it's really spanned into the other areas of my life, even to acknowledging we all go through things where we don't want to we don't want to self-examine, and we don't want to do those things. And I now understand 100% why, but I also have my whys of why I do it. And that's usually for those in my home and those in my my family and my community, to make a difference for.
Amen. So what is your ministry? Like, what is your mission statement? Who are you here for? What did you learn about, like, this is my person, this is what I'm going to do? Like, what is that?
So I learned that my person is the millennial woman, for sure. I identified that my mission statement is truly to empower the millennial woman to cultivate a God-honoring life and confidently build her home, her family, and her community through heart work, healing, and growth. And so all of that it's all interconnected, and it starts with you. so that heart work happens. You do the evaluation, you dig a little deeper, and then that's how we grow and we heal. And then we can, because before like I didn't show up confidently in my relationships or in my life. And my husband and I have been married now for 10 years, and I say I just now started confidently showing up for my marriage. And even though it's been hard, it's been so worth it, because there's so much more freedom. I think a lot of times what I found is we equate ease, and no one wants discomfort, and we want everything to be easy, but that's not how you grow. Like, there's no growth there. There's no freedom in those places. And so now, now that I've identified who God says I am, I can now identify or do the work for myself, and then actually hopefully help others to do the same. And so my ministry right now is mostly media, as far as like social media, and just encouraging through word and scripture, but also through writings and through teaching ladies Bible class. And so, yeah, that's the majority of it right now.
Awesome. So what was it like when you finished and you had to like take the next few minutes, because we started working on content creation and what your book looked like, your color stories, brand awareness, and how to get people to start looking at you. So what was it like for those few months that you were trying to piece it together and put it together? And were there moments of like fear of like, oh my gosh, like I'm finished and now I gotta like implement this stuff? So what was that like for you?
Yeah, I did okay with it. But it initially was like, wait, what? This is over? What are you talking about? Like, I'm being weaned, and I didn't really want to be. But it did two things. It showed me that I had to go out and try on my own. I tend to look at it now, even in those moments where I still get a little like, I need Coach K. I'm like, okay, no, because as a parent, one of the things that I really have clinged to that has helped me is I am raising my children to give them roots and wings. So I want to give them a value system. I want to give them their moral, their beliefs. I want them to be rooted in those things. But I also want to give them wings. They have to go and fly and do it on their own. And so even for me as a parent, that's scary. And so sometimes I'm like, for you as the coach, the confidence that if she sees that I'm in this position and she's giving me these tools and she's giving me my certificate and telling me I'm done, she sees that I've got some wings that can start to flap in and getting out there to span. And so yes, it can be a little scary in the beginning, but what I firmly believe and what I've actually done for myself is just getting started. So I didn't allow myself to make excuses. If I messed up, then I messed up. Like, I really recognized I'm trying different things. Like, I tried different things. I tried different color spans. I'll see what works, what doesn't, because it is in the beginning stages for me. And so this is a part where I can try a couple different things, and that's okay. And so you were very good about encouraging that and really understanding the growth process. I was definitely a person that was like, I need to have it all figured out before I do anything. And, you're like, no, just get started. And it's just like, wait, what? So that was so encouraging, because I now have so much confidence, even when I'm getting pushback from other places. It's like, whatever, it's okay. Like, I'm just going to keep moving. And so it's all just been in an understanding of like the progression, and honestly having respect for the progress that I'm making, but also just the process overall. It is truly that. It is a process. And whenever I now believe like God's controlling it all. And so whenever it's meant to be what it's supposed to be in that time, that's when it'll happen. And I get this it's honestly a fun side of just trying different things to see where I fit within that niche. So
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. Yes. I'm just loving listening to you. So what are your goals for the rest of the year? What do you want to continue to put out as far as content or your book? Like what do you want to accomplish by December?
By December right now, the goals, there's two main that I have, because what I did identify is I needed to stick with the goal. Even though, I could go and try different things, I saw where the progress was in what I stuck with a little longer. And so now that I have a pretty good idea of what's working in this season of my life and in the business, my one goal is to fully develop the book outline and get some concrete chapters in, and then continue on with the media side of the ministry in terms of postings and really getting a more, I guess, organized and flow to the content that I'm putting out, and being more like I've got my certain days I do right now, but really developing that into more days and, a broader audience, as far as maybe using videos or, just posting. So incorporating more of those things that I have tried, but I haven't fully dove into all the way. And I really am looking forward to doing that by the end of the year.
Awesome. Awesome. And the last question I have before I open it up for everybody else, I think it's the last one. We'll see. How are you feeling about Millennials on Purpose and where that's going and the role that you play? And for those that are on here, Millennials on Purpose is a group of writers that write for my website. And they talk about the things that they've gone through and their struggles, their triumphs. So tell us about, your thoughts on Millennials on Purpose, since you're one of the Millennials on Purpose.
I truly feel honored just to be a part of that group. It's exciting to be in company with others who are doing that, the hard work. They're doing the healing and they're growing, and to be a part of this group of women that are really putting it in and really growing so that they can glorify God, is just, it's refreshing. I know for me, I'm on the latter side of the millennial end, but I think if someone who is where I was, let's say, 5 years ago, man, a group like this, that would have been that I could have seen the benefit if that were something that was available to me. And so I'm excited to spread the word to, my friends, and especially I have a heart for women and I have a heart for mothers. And I know that we can really get into a place of feeling that, our world kind of is all about husbands or all about children, and all about really trying to sometimes have it all together. And you kind of forget, like, you're human. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to have those places where you doubt who you are. And to have this group of women who is there openly, vulnerable and transparent with their journeys is just awesome. And I'm really excited to be a part of it.
Yay! Woo woo! Just so y'all know, we're going to be launching in like 2 weeks. The group, so I'm really, really excited about that. Okay, well, unless you have any closing comments, at least for now, I want to go ahead and open it up to anyone out there in this virtual world in this Zoom meetup. So any of you all, if you want to unmute yourselves and say something to Tiffiany or ask her a question about the process or anything that you want to say, you can go ahead and unmute yourself and do so right now. And if you don't, I'll ask another question or two for any of you that want to go ahead and shoot your shot.
Hey, Tiffany.
Hey, Casey.
Hey, I wanted to ask how you balance what you were doing with your counseling and writing your book with being mom, because that's probably my biggest struggle right now is work, mom, and trying to find time because I'm also trying to write a book, and that balance is probably the biggest thing for me.
So it really, I think you have to be mindful of the season that you're in, because I know your children are young. And for me, it really has gone to recognizing the importance of priority, and recognizing, okay, so this is where the self-evaluation sometimes get me, because there were times where I would actually have the time to write and I would be like, oh, but the kid needs this, or the husband needs this, or, and they really didn't. And so it would be like, so are you doing that because you're being lazy, or are you doing this because you really, so there, and especially and so I had to be respectful of the season I was in. When, the young kid doesn't want to go to bed and you're up for a long time at night, you're not being lazy, you're tired. Like, you need to rest. There are going to be times where it feels forced. And I think those are the times that you back off, because it shouldn't feel forced. God will give you times where I think you'll have pressure, but under pressure, he does some great work in those places, but it shouldn't feel forced. I don't believe that anything forced is from him. And so I had to kind of learn the difference. If it was something that I was doing because I felt like I had to perform as mom or wife, I knew that wasn't from God. And so when those situations kind of come up, and that in itself is a learning process, learning to identify it. But then also, once you do, you, as your children grow, especially, you will find like, oh, I've got, 30 minutes, I can maybe try to get a page in here. Right. And as Kendra has really helped me to identify, you just write where you can and then bring it together. And so I think that's just the important part. I don't know if it ever really balances out, but I think it's just being patient with your process and being respectful of the seasons that you're in.
Definitely. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Casey.
Thanks.
Hey, I'd like to make a comment, and I have a question too. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Congratulations, Tiffany. Man, just all the things that you have done is great. It is great. So I would like to ask you, do you feel like you have more time now that you are, you're managing your time? That's my question for you.
I do. So the time management piece made a huge difference in terms of what Kendra would say, is it busy, or, was it like, there's a lot of things I was doing just to keep myself busy.
Productive.
Yes, busy or productive. And I still have my days where it's like, I'll fill it up with busy. And those are the kind of the places where I'm telling Casey, it has become an awareness thing. And that's where that heart work has come in, where it's like, okay, you got this time, but are you just filling it with busy stuff so that you don't have to deal with something? Because especially for writing, and writing about what I'm writing about, which is trauma, I had to get on myself quite a bit to say, are you just avoiding something? Are you really truly not able to get into right? And even there, I have gentleness with myself. I know that God knows my heart, and I know that he knows me better than I know me. And so if there is something where I'm trying to write or something I'm trying to do and it's just not coming about, I'm not going to sit there and try to force it, because it'll throw me into something that I'm not prepared for. But I also know that if I can look at my schedule and I can see where I've been productive, that also takes a lot of that force away. And when that time does open up, if my heart is in the right place and if God is speaking to me and if I've been doing the work within myself, it flows. It just flows so much easier. And in terms of just like, even if I'm not necessarily writing, like I've taken on Bible studies, like I've taken on, even writing or doing lessons for our church Bible studies. There were times where I would have my kids at home and I would be frazzled having them home all day. Now I'm like enjoying it. We're outside, we're going for walks. Like it has made me such a better human being, just all around for everybody. And so even in those places, I see where the time management and the busy versus being productive has really created so much ease across my life. And that's why I say, like, I could never go back. Like, even when it happens, it'll happen for like a day or two. And then I'm like, oh, wait a second. You know better. Like, we need to revisit those. Kendra equips you with so much wonderful work that worksheets that you get. And when you keep those and you can look back at them, just a week ago, I had a time where I was getting caught up in the busy. I was feeling frazzled, feeling all these different things. And I went back to those and I was like, look right here, you're making excuses. You haven't doing this. Like, so I say that I call myself out on my junk, but it really is, it's needed because I have more energy. Like it has taken care of stress levels that, stress I didn't need. So yes, it has definitely it's given me so much time. It's given me so much more time. Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Thank you, Ma. That's my mom.
Thanks, Sister Dublin, for having Kendra.
You're welcome.
All right. Anyone else before we close out this baby in a minute? Anyone else have a question? Oh, I'm messing with my hair up here. Well, if anyone else doesn't have a question, thank you guys for joining. I did start my membership program this past month. So if anybody wants to get the same kind of work that Tiffiany got, without paying the thousands of dollars that my coaching is, you can be a part of the membership. And the membership has over 60 development videos, over 30 worksheets. It has the Kindle Develop and Home system. So the Kindle part is kindling that fire back into yourself with God, the self-examination, the Bible studies, anything that you can deal with self, it's in there. The development piece is going through your time management, your goal setting, who is the audience that you're going to be catering to, all the way down to home, which is the leadership part. And that's where you figure out, your leadership style, the problems that you can solve for other people. And that's where we do our content creation. So you literally get a whole 360 move of the internal man, of how it relates to God and his mission, putting the mission together, having the content for the mission, knowing the proper apps to use. Like you literally get everything from me. Like I said, it's my one-stop shop for all of us that are believers that are trying to do God's work and do it in a concentrated time so he can get his glory. So if you do want to join that membership, tier 1 is $22.99 a month. And with that, you also get the membership roundtable. So you have a community that you can discuss with your accountability, all of that good stuff as well. And then you get a coaching session with me each quarter. So you get 4 a year. And it's an all access program. So if you decide to do tier 1, it's $22.99 a month. If you want to do tier 2, then it's $74 a month. But the difference in tier 2 is that you get me every month. You get a 1 hour session with me each month, on top of the discussions, on top of the question and answer sessions, on top of the interviews, and on top of the development videos and assessments. So I'm going to put in the chat, I'll put the website if anybody wants to check out that homepage. It is Purpose Preparation Membership, as we are preparing you to go forth into the world. Tiffany, do you have anything else that you want to say?
No, it was just life-changing.
Yay.
Yeah. So it's worth it. I mean, whatever. I can't say enough about it. Like I said, I know I could have found it through so many other places on my own, but the uniqueness of the gift that God has given Kendra and how she's obedient in using that, it will definitely help you and enhance your life. So
Amen. Hear ye. Well, thank you all for joining. I did put the link in the chat if you guys want to start with the program. Again, it's my first month of opening it up. So this month it's at the $22. After once September comes along, it'll go back to its regular price for the membership. So that's purposepreparation.com, purposepreparation.com, purposepreparation.com. Thank you again. I hope you all have a good night, and I'm praying for you through your journey and through your mission and what God has for you. And I'm excited to see what God yields in the future for you guys.
bye.
Bye.